Hey there, everybody. In this last video for circles, to wrap up this unit, we are going to look at writing equations of circles. All right, now this is the standard equation of a circle. You got x minus h, this quantity squared, plus y minus k, this quantity squared, equals r squared. So notice how each of these things is being squared, okay? So the center of the circle is given by this h value and this k value. All right, so the center is hk. Now notice the h value and the k value follow the subtraction sign. The subtraction sign doesn't come with. So you can think of it as it's the opposite of what you see. Okay, so it's the values that follow the subtraction sign. And then the r value, that's going to be our radius. Now, a couple issues I always see every year is that this value forgets to be squared on your radius, or if I give you the equation of a circle and you need to find the radius, you need to take the square root of that number. Okay, so this is definitely something key formula to put on your note card and make sure you understand what each part is. Okay, so let us write an equation given the radius and a center. So the center is -3/4. So here's my h value, here's my k value, and the radius is 5. So if I plug this in, I'm going to take x minus the h value, which is -3. I'm going to square that, plus y minus the k value, which is just 4, square that, equals my radius, which is 5, but I have to remember to square that. So from here, I just need to simplify. X minus -3 is the same thing as x plus 3 squared, plus y minus 4 squared equals 5 squared, which is 25. So there is the equation in that circle. Notice how the center is kind of the opposite of what you see. Right? You see x plus 3, but the center is -3. You see y minus 4, but the y coordinate of the center is +4. So it's the opposite of what you see in those parentheses. It's what follows the subtraction sign. Okay? Then we move to b. Okay, so b, we give you the graph of this circle here. So the center is right here. So the radius, notice how we have 4 nice points here that we can use to help find our radius. The radius value is 2. All right, so the center is 0, 0, and the radius is 2. So that's going to look like x minus 0 squared plus y minus 0 squared equals 2 squared. Well, x minus 0 is just the same thing as x squared. Y minus 0 is just the same thing as y squared, and 2 squared is 4. So we get x squared plus y squared equals 4. So if nothing is being added or subtracted from the x or the y, you know that coordinate is going to be 0. You want to simplify it. Okay, but you also need to know what your simplified form means. It means that that center is 0, 0, because I don't have any numbers that's being added or subtracted from x or y. Okay, let's continue on. Let's write the standard equation of a circle given the center and a point. So the point -3/4 is on the circle, and the center is -1, 2. So we know the center here, but we got to do a little bit of work to find the radius. So remember, the radius is any segment from the center to the edge of the circle. Okay, so I could set up, I need to find the distance between these two. So I can set up the Pythagorean theorem here. Okay, so it's 2 down, 2 across. So I got 2 squared, or sorry, I got 2, 2, and the hypotenuse is my radius. So 2 squared plus 2 squared equals r squared. So we get 8 equals r squared. So r equals the square root of 8. All right, now that does simplify. You could also say 2 rad 2, but I'll show you why we're going to leave it as square root of 8 in a second. So we've got our center, and we've got our radius. So now if I plug this into the standard form, we got x minus the x-coordinate squared plus y minus the y-coordinate squared equals the radius, which is the square root of 8, squared. All right, now simplifying, minus a negative is plus a positive, so this is x plus 1 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals square root of 8 squared. Well, these are going to cancel each other out and leave you just with 8. So there is the standard form of this. There's the equation for this circle. All right. Now, the issue I see with students is probably when we get into graphing. And it's mainly because of this right here. All right. So the center, we can see that it's the h value follows the subtraction sign. So our center x-coordinate is going to be 2. For the y-coordinate of the center, we got to see what follows the subtraction sign. So that's going to be -3 for the y-coordinate, okay? Or you can think like it's the opposite of what you see. So we see x minus 2, so the x-coordinate is going to be +2. We see y plus 3, so the y-coordinate is going to be -3. And the radius is not 16. That's what I see every year. Remember, this was r squared. So r squared equals 16. So the radius value has to be +4. Okay? So that is a big thing I see every year, is that you forget to square root that value in the equation. You got to square root it because that represents r squared, not just your plain old radius. So now that we've got the center and the radius, we can graph. The center, 2, -3. Well, notice our graph is going by 2's. So this is going to be 2, -3, because this is going to be -2 and -4. So it's going to be halfway in between there. And the radius is 4. So I need to count. I usually plot 4 points. I usually do the radius straight up, to the right, straight down, and to the left. So I go up 4, to the right 4, down 4, to the left 4. All right, so we get those 4 points, and then I just do my best, and I connect them in a nice, smooth, circular curve. And there we get the graph of this circle. All right, so identifying the center and the radius given the equation is something that's really easy to make a mistake. All right, remember the h and the k values follow a subtraction sign, and what it equals is r squared. So you got to take the square root of that. Alrighty, so that is equations of circles. Make sure you understand and know how to use this formula, this equation here. Know what each part represents. Don't forget the squareds. Remember, every part needs to be squared. All right, so I got 2 you try nows for you. In addition to that, make sure you're on the worksheet and do these practice problems, okay? Because there's a lot of different types of problems we can see that weren't covered in the notes and that are covered in the worksheet. A lot of good practice problems, especially number 24. That's a good quiz or test question. All right, so I'd be happy to go over those in class, but make sure you try them first. So start by filling out the notes, do the you try nows, and then go over to the worksheet and start practicing there. All right, if you have any questions, let me know. Other than that, that is the last lesson for circles.